Hey there, this is the One Boom, and welcome to episode 3 of my weapon guide series for Black Ops 7, and today we're going to be looking at the Maddox RFB assault rifle. This weapon was recently released in Season 1 of Black Ops 7, and has seen a lot of usage online and a lot of praise from the community. Anticipation for this weapon was high, to say the least. If you were a fan of Black Ops 4, and specifically Black Ops 4's competitive scene, you know about how famous and iconic the Maddox RFB is. Consistent, predictable, versatile are just some of the words you could use to describe the weapon and its usage in BO4. While a fictional weapon, I do believe, and many others agree, that the weapon is based off of the Desert Tech MDRX. In fact, the Desert Tech MDRX was developed not far from where I live in real life, as it was developed in Utah. Seeing how the weapon was being introduced in 2020, it makes a lot of sense that prototypes and images of the weapon before its official introduction were used as the template for the Maddox. Also, the fact that it's the Maddox spelt with an X and the real-life weapon is the MDRX kind of makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you consider that in-game it is a versatile, compact bullpup carbine, and that's what it is in real life. At least that's what the Desert Tech MDRX is in real life. It fires a 5.56 by 45mm cartridge, and its primary unique trait, a default 40-round magazine of said ammunition. Which means that by default you are running with the amount of ammunition normally found in Extended Mag 1 on other assault rifles. When it comes to important stats, this weapon is a 4 to 5 shot kill with a 723 rounds per minute rate of fire. We have a bullet velocity of 650 meters per second, and that 4 to 5 shot kill range is 0 to 33 meters. Outside of 33 meters, the weapon will drop off to 19 damage per shot from its usual 28, meaning you will start dealing 6-shot kills at 723 rounds per minute, which means you're not going to be killing very fast at all, even with this weapon's lower than average recoil. The headshot multiplier is 1.1, meaning your headshot damage is 32, which means unless the enemy is injured or at a longer range, you're not really going to notice any benefit from getting headshots. This leads me right into the general feel of the weapon. The weapon feels more like a Black Ops 6 assault rifle with the lower headshot multiplier coupled with a lower recoil and a default larger mag, meaning you have less reliance on stacking multiple attachments for desired results. The weapon is consistent and well-performing right out of the box with no attachments, even though its iron sights do leave a bit to be desired. The recoil goes up almost perfectly vertical for its first 10 shots and then cuts hard left, and then zigzags back up into being a straight vertical pattern, so sort of a weird S shape. But what this means for you is that when you activate the random recoil pattern, or what is really just the second half of your recoil pattern after multiple bursts, as we've discussed in its own dedicated video, which will be tagged at the end of this video, is that when you kill multiple opponents and you move on to a third or fourth target, your later recoil pattern is directly vertical again. So in your volley of fire, you'll already have countered the left-leaning recoil pattern that happens after the first 10 shots, and your later volleys of ammunition as you take out multiple opponents is going to stay vertical. So the weird non-recoil resetting issue that this game has doesn't affect this gun, adding even further to its overall consistency. The weapon is most effective at around mid-range, around the 25 meter mark. Too close and the lower rate of fire definitely doesn't do you too many favors. And at a long distance, you run out of damage range and you do not have the DPS to back it up, even though your accuracy is there, which we'll talk more about here in a second. One really positive trait about the weapon that you need to factor in is that the sprint to fire speed is 190 milliseconds, which is just short of the 170 milliseconds of the Peacekeeper Mark I, which we covered in the first weapon guide, a weapon that bridges the gap between SMG and AR. And in some ways, so does this with that really lightning fast sprint to fire speed. There aren't many other standout stats to point out except for that 40 round default magazine and, like I just mentioned, that faster than average sprint to fire speed at 190 milliseconds. But weirdly enough, the Maddox RFB has one stat that doesn't really seem to matter in game, but is technically higher on the stat sheet, so it is worth mentioning. It has the second highest kick reset speed penalty at 800 milliseconds. While I've made a lot of noise about kick reset speed on the channel, it doesn't really feel like this weapon is affected at all by this stat being higher than average. Most of the other weapons, if not all of them, are at 600 milliseconds, the Maverick being at 1000 milliseconds, a full second for the kick reset speed to fully come back down. But in gameplay, the Maddox is so predictable with its recoil pattern after that initial jerk to the left that you get when firing that it doesn't really end up affecting the gun at all. But it is important to note, just in case you notice something a little weird in your multi-targeted gunfights. Everything else about the weapon is about average. You get, normal movement speed and normal reload times. There's really nothing to sweat when using this gun, and that's going to reflect in the builds I'm about to show you that I think make the gun work really well. Keep in mind, I only came up with one build that I think has necessary attachments for optimal performance, and the other class we're about to show off is just a lot of fun, with a little bit of an opinionated piece at the end of these two classes, so stay tuned. So our first class is our general versatile loadout. This is not going to require the gunfighter wildcard, allowing you to attach this weapon to any type of class you're going to be using, like a support class, a perk heavy streak getting class, a stealth class, an aggressive class, whatever it might be. This build will accompany you, and you won't have to worry about the rest of the loadout being anything specific because this gun will kind of do it all. Provided you're staying within a reasonable range. I wouldn't fight anybody past 45 meters with this, but to each their own. Whatever your engagements are, this weapon is not going to challenge you or give you any headaches, that's for sure. So no more further ado, we have the elo sight, suppressor, the steady sway hand stop, or the H-lock foregrip as it's called, the Faraday quick draw grip, for getting on target that much faster, and the migrate mix stock for aim walking movement speed and flinch resistance, which will allow us to tackle people at longer ranges even when under fire. Now, while aiming down sight faster is definitely a bonus, being off the radar and having a clean sight picture is great, what really makes the class is the H-lock foregrip. This helps with aiming idle sway, aim walking steadiness, aiming idle sway delay, and horizontal recoil control. This combined with the mobile flinch stock allows us to attack people at longer ranges and not get knocked off target when challenging head glitches, because the most challenging part of the recoil on this gun is that horizontal slash to the left. This grip, as you can see here in the footage, tightens that down and makes it so you don't have to worry about any abrupt recoil changes until you're most of the way through a 40-round magazine. Meaning you can see a head glitcher out at 30 meters, hold the trigger down on them, and as long as you're pulling your analog stick or mouse slightly down and to the right, you're absolutely going to nail those headshots more times than not. And that flinch resistant stock is going to allow you to keep your feet moving, stay mobile, make yourself a difficult target, and not get flinched off of a small target off in the distance, which is going to be somebody head glitching. Then you just get to reap the benefits of having a better than average sprint to fire speed, absolutely no downsides, a faster ADS time, and staying off the radar with that clean sight picture provided by the suppressors and elo sights respectively. This is my favorite build. This might be a build that, unless the weapon is severely nerfed, I use until this time next year. Honestly, this weapon has replaced a lot of my go-to guns as my new go-to gun for consistency and just confidence in a gunfight. Having a predictable, versatile weapon is one thing, but with that added sprint to fire bonus and the default 40-round magazine, there's really no replacing this gun in my current meta loadouts. Let's say you wanted to be overpowered. Let's say you actually wanted to make the Maddox a bit of a problem. And this is where I'm worried the gun's going to get nerfed, because while with the setup I just showed you, I think the gun is still balanced within the meta of the game. It has its downsides, it has its upsides. I feel like with 8 attachments, people using it might find it to be far too easy, and I am worried about a big blanket nerf affecting the overall gun when really gunfighter is what's going to probably break this weapon in particular. Because unlike other weapons in Black Ops 7, which I think some do require gunfighter to perform properly, this weapon would perform fine with, honestly, just the elo sight and a suppressor for me. Now, for lack of any better terminology, we're going to make a completely unnecessary weapon with firepower that you really don't need but can definitely benefit from. Utilizing 8 attachments, I was able to come up with this monstrosity. We use the long barrel, the 24-inch assemblage barrel. We use the elo sight for a clean sight picture, the monolithic suppressor, the 1 milliwatt instinct laser array, the H-lock foregrip just like before, the 50-round magazine, which is a 50-round magazine with no reload downside. This is just 50 rounds, no reload downside because our default's 40, our extended one goes up to 50. Then we use the buffer springs and Faraday quick grip. The main thing happening here is that we have the instinct laser, the Faraday grip, combined with the monolithic suppressor and the H-lock foregrip. The monolithic suppressor hurts our aim down sight speed and our aim walking steadiness. The H-Lock foregrip, 1 milliwatt instinct laser, and the quick draw grip is going to completely alleviate this, giving us a still 2% bonus to aim down sight speed, which is pretty crazy. And because nothing's hurting our sprint to fire speed on this build goes down to 170 milliseconds, which is as fast as the Peacekeeper Mark 1. Oh, and your damage range with this build? You'll be able to dish out a 4-shot kill consistently out to 27 meters, and a 4 to 5 shot kill out to 46 meters. Almost 50 meter 5-shot kill. With incredibly predictable recoil, low idle sway, tons of steadiness. This is completely unnecessary, but is also a ton of fun. So those are my two builds. My take on this is that the Maddox doesn't even need these attachments. Like I said earlier, you could just put a red dot suppressor on it and it would work flawlessly. This is how I want the assault rifles to be balanced in Call of Duty going forward with the longer time to kill. A default larger mag and predictable recoil with low gun kick. This gun doesn't feel bad until you get 6 or 17 levels done on it. This weapon feels good right out of the box and is only improved. Don't let anyone tell you it's overpowered without Gunfighter, because without Gunfighter, it's just a really dependable mid-range assault rifle with an above average sprint to fire speed to make close range engagements feel more snappy and responsive. You are still held down by the rate of fire, and you are still held down by the bullet velocity, as well as you don't have a ton of spike potential without using the headshot damage barrel, which hurts your recoil, but we could probably come up with some fun builds for that later when we do our just create a class videos that I'm going to be uploading on the channel down the line. So stay tuned for some more casual content regarding weapons and classes in sort of a top 5 format, where more unique stuff will be covered. Here I want to keep it optimal, I want to make it make sense for the weapon, and there's really not much you can do that will make this weapon not make sense. After almost 2,000 eliminations with the Maddox since Season 1's launch, no matter what engagement you're in, I can confidently say that the Maddox is going to serve you well. With dependable movement speeds and a recoil pattern so predictable, you're going to ask yourself, am I really firing bullets? Thank you so much for watching this episode of my Black Ops 7 weapon guide. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and let me know what weapons I should cover next in the comment section below. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.